Good evening, everybody. I welcome you to the first talk in this new year and the sixth talk in this seminar seasons, of the fourth seasons, the sixth talk. And I'm very happy to welcome you and our speaker from tonight, Christian Fron. First, I'd like to introduce him before giving the usual announcements for the procedure. He studied ancient history and mathematics to become a teacher and did his first Staatsexamen at the University in Stuttgart about 5 years ago. And then he stayed at the university there at the Department for Ancient History and had different projects and research themes about traveling in ancient times, especially about the so-called sophists, of philosophical movements in the Roman Empire. And this Staatsexamensarbeit, final exam for his Staatsexamen, was also qualified with a prize as well, as I read. And since about 1 year, two years, nearly 2 years, he's a research assistant at the Department for Ancient History at the University of Stuttgart. Today he's not talking about traveling and his other interests of research, but about a topic which is very new, at least for me. He's talking about acoustic problems in ancient architecture, especially in Roman architecture and especially in the Roman Senate. And I'm very much looking forward to your project and your results, which is a still ongoing project. Before he can start, just the usual announcements. We have the speech and the discussion afterwards being recorded to have them published afterwards. So first the speech, then the public discussion, and then we have the informal part with some wine and nibbles and the possibility for more questions which are not be recorded anymore. So enjoy the evening and you have the word. Thanks very much.
Dear members of the program committee, colleagues, students and other participants of the Digital Classicist seminar in Berlin, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation to this fascinating seminar, for your interest in the acoustic reconstruction of ancient Senate seasons, and last but not least, for the kind introduction. For some time now, virtual reconstruction of the ancient everyday life is of great scientific interest. The focus lies in the visualization, as for instance in the case of the Digital Forum Romanum, which has been developed here in Berlin. Just one picture. I don't get any funding from them, but I just wanted to show you, in case you don't know them, how beautiful these pictures are. So, enough of that. For 3 years now, with some interruptions due to other projects, we of the Department of Ancient History at the University of Stuttgart turn our attention far less on the virtual reconstruction of buildings, but all the more on the acoustic properties of ancient facilities of public speaking, as well as other places of public speaking. So open rooms, etc. Our aim is to gain a deeper understanding on the importance of public speaking in everyday life of ancient societies, the role of the speaker, the physical requirements and training he needed to speak in public, as well as the order, procedure, and length of public speeches. We can't answer all these questions and reconstruct the acoustic setting of public speeches all on our own. Therefore, the Department of Ancient History works in close cooperation with the local Institute of Architectural History, the Fraunhofer Institute for Building Physics and Acoustics at the University of Stuttgart, or a cooperative partner of the University of Stuttgart, colleagues of the Digital Forum Romanum project in Berlin around Professor Susanne Muth, as well as Professor Ulrike Wulfreit, and many other institutes to research what in this group is currently called the historical voice research. We don't limit ourselves to ancient history, we go forth until recent history, but this is my part, so it's just very little from what we are doing in Stuttgart currently. But we are always looking forward to get more cooperation partners. That is just a promotion if you are interested. A little break. Okay. This project will not be limited to Rome alone, but will include other sites of the ancient world. An application for research funding of this project will be submitted this year. In what follows, I will limit myself to give you just one example of our current research project, which deals with the acoustic reconstruction and simulation of ancient Senate sessions, the Curia Julia. After this, some further results of this current research will be given. But I have to inform you that the content of the presentation is work in progress and may change in some details until the upcoming publication of the result. The building of the Curia Julia stands in the context of many upheavals. Historically, the gradual transition from the late Roman Republic up to the early Roman Empire. Topographically, the transformation of the Forum Romanum. If you take a closer look, you can see that here, this is the older form of the Forum Romanum. Here is the rostra. And this is Republican times. And in the late Republican times, everything changes. This is the Curia, the predecessor of the Curia Julia. This is the Curia Julia. It's placed somewhere more to the east, and the rostra changes its position far more to the west. Just to have a look. So there are some quite little changes, which is of great importance to Romans, which are very eager to keep the mos maiorum. So what the elders have done is always the aim, the goal to look at and to copy. Nevertheless, the building also represents the continuity to the glorious past. The new construction of the Curia is oriented towards its predecessors, the Curia Hostilia and the Curia of Sulla. Regarding the ground plan, except for the ever-increasing size and probably the seat distribution in principle. If you have a closer look, this is the Curia Hostilia coming up to the Curia of Sulla or Cornelia, and this is the Curia Julia, and also the Curia Julia, but at the times of Diocletian. So you see the shape is always the same, but its size is increasing. This is due to the cause that here 300 senators had to take place, here 600 senators had to take place, and in this case it was proposed that 900 senators should take place, but everything changed. Augustus didn't continue the policy of Caesar and held the 900 senators, but limited it to 600 again. But its size is increasing, but nothing changes in the shape, etc. The ground plan of the interior of the Curia Julia is approximately 25 meters in length, 17 meters in width, and 23 meters in height. According to the just one more picture. According to the device of Augustus given by Sueton to transform Rome out of bricks into a city of marble, the Curia Julia was probably decorated in marble from the in as well as from the outside. Like, for instance, the Marcellus Theatre, the Arapaces, or the Mausoleum. The use of marble was and stayed closely linked to dignity and magnitude. So the decoration with marble seemed to be more than appropriate for a representative building such as the Curia Julia. In the course of its varied history, the design of the interior surely changed in some details until reaching its late antique condition, which in many parts is preserved until today. These are some pictures on the left top about the current state, and on the right top you see a picture from the inside, and on the bottom right you see a reconstruction of the state in the time of Diocletian. The principal shape and structure of the building, like the seat distribution, shouldn't have changed at all. Throughout the era of the Roman Empire, the building itself was used as meeting place of the Roman Senate. A contemporary witness of the first building phase of the Curia Julia was the architect Vitruvius. Since he furthermore recognized the Curia as a facility of public speaking, he deals with the acoustic settings of this building in his work De Architectura. The treasury, prison, and senate house ought to adjoin the forum, but in such a way that their dimensions may be proportionate to those of the forum. Particularly, the Senate house should be constructed with special regard to the importance of the town or city. If the building is square, let its height be fixed at 1.5 times its breadth. But if it is to be oblong, add together its length and breadth, and having got the total, let half of it be devoted to the height up to the coffered ceiling. Further, the inside walls should be gilded at a point halfway up their height with coronae. This means cornices, made of woodwork or of stucco. Without these, the voice of men engaged in discussion there will be carried up to the height above, and so be unintelligible to their listeners. But when the walls are gilded with coronae, the voice from below, being detained from before rising and becoming lost in the air, will be intelligible to their ear. At first, Vitruvius deals with the topographical position of a curia in the political and administrative center of a Roman city. After that, he describes two potential designs of curia, one square, the other one rectangular. Since the basic measurements of the Curia Julia roughly fulfill the standards given by Vitruvius, it is likely that he referred to this specific building in his book, especially since he lived and worked in Rome. The model for the square ground plan probably was the Curia of Pompeius, the other recent Senate building in Vitruvius' lifetime. Regarding the design of the interior of the building, some remarks of Vitruvius are of great importance for the acoustic reconstruction of the Curia itself. First of all, the height of more than 23 meters is huge and ends with a wooden covered ceiling, lacunaria. It stands in the text, it is said lacunaria. These specifics are only mentioned by Vitruvius and are taken for granted. He doesn't discuss them, doesn't want to change them at all. He just says it has to be this way. A close connection between the spatial conditions and the acoustic setting is only given in the context of cornices, said coronae, halfway up. These cornices should prevent the voice from being carried up the height. But such cornices don't appear in recent reconstructions of the internal space of the Curia Julia, since there are no traces for cornices preserved. There are two possible reasons for this lacuna. First explanation, there never have been any cornices in the Curia Julia. This means that Vitruvius gives some improvement proposals for an overly bad acoustic in the Senate building on the basis of his own experience in other facilities of public speaking. Second explanation, there have been cornices which have been removed in one of the later renovation phases, perhaps already in the late antiquity. Surely cornices out of stucco or wood will always have fallen victim to the flames which the Curia occasionally became subject to. There is no way to decide whether it is the one way or the other, since Vitruvius acts both ways in his book. Sometimes he makes proposals which we never find in real life. Sometimes he describes how it is. And he doesn't change the words, doesn't make clear this is a proposal or something like that. He is always the same. Although I think it hardly appears plausible that the acoustic setting was left inappropriate for the public speech during the whole era of Roman Empire. So if the acoustic was bad, why didn't they change it? Nevertheless, the question remains interesting if Vitruvius was right with his proposition. Furthermore, it must be asked which acoustic setting can be simulated for the Curia Julia, and finally, which conclusions can be drawn about public speeches during Senate sessions. Now to our approach. Of great importance for modeling and simulating ancient speeches and their context is the use of the program Odeon, which allows to shape and acoustically simulate spatial structures. Cut files as well as SketchUp drafts can be imported and analyzed. This is one example of a SketchUp draft we did, not directly in this project, but in the context of the project of the Forum Romanum together with the Digital Forum Romanum. Yes. These SketchUp drafts can be imported and analyzed. Absolute precision in such simulations can naturally not be expected, since there is still much to learn about the expansion and dissemination of sound. However, this software gives a first but comparatively precise impression of the listening experience from different oral perspectives or from different listeners. Linear simulated acoustic signals are sent into a room model and their further development is being analyzed. Of great importance are the acoustic properties of the different surfaces. And this is the reason why I had to give you some more detailed information about the design and furnishing of the inner room of the Senate building, which I will continue. I just wanted to explain why I mentioned that it was made out of marble from the inside. This is of great importance for the surface analysis. Since you probably only have little understanding of the scientific field of acoustic, you can disagree if you want. No disagreement. As I had before this cooperation, and I'm still far away from calling myself an expert, I would like now to give you some little, just rudimentary basics. As in the case of light, you can imagine sound as a wave, which is perceived differently depending on the amplitude, which means loud or quiet, and frequency, which means high or low. When sound waves impact upon a surface, part of the acoustic energy is reflected from it, part is transmitted through, and part is absorbed by it. In many cases, more than one of these effects can be observed at the same time. This was the theoretical part, just to show you. I'm sorry, I couldn't change everything from German into English, but I tried my very best. These are data which were kindly given to me from Professor Leisner from the Acoustic Institute of the Fraunhofer. So these are the frequency which we have to analyze. Frequencies. We have the undertone, we have vowels, we have consonants. They are very different in the height. For example, you see here just one little spot. This is a line which means this is the middle of what you normally every oral experience is different, but which is normed, what you normally, at which point you normally get to hear something. So how loud something has to be, at which point you can say, at which frequency and which loudness you can say, I hear something. And you see here it's the line is very, very low. This is partly caused due to the fact that if you scream for help, etc., you get very, very high, and this is the ideal frequency that you can be heard from far away. So somebody can help you. So if baby screams, or if you scream, even men scream louder, higher than they speak normally. If you speak louder, you begin to become a little bit higher. This is you can make a self-test, but later. These are some examples of a reflection of sound to a barrier, for instance, a wall. Absorption, this means that not all of the energy coming to the wall is reflected, but some goes away. Transmission means that some goes through the barrier, and this is, from my point of view, the best example to show it all. A window. Lower frequencies tend to go outside, higher frequencies seem to be kept inside. And all this we have to take into account. And naturally, this all depends on the different surfaces. Every surface has different acoustics, different different ways to react to sound. In some cases, these properties are clear. For instance, in the case of a window. In other cases, for example, for the number of audience, at present at a Senate session, some randomized simulation has to be done. So this is only important. The building itself is here and stays here. Only the audience changes. So a full room has different acoustic properties than an empty room. So this all has to be taken into account. And when we start simulating a Senate session, it's very important how many people were attending such a Senate session. And since I hope for a great audience during my presentation, we took them all. So we proposed during our simulation that the room is full. So some last remarks before I would finally like to present you some concrete acoustic results. For a good speech intelligibility, two components have to be taken into account. First, the sound pressure level. This means how loud the signal is that approaches the audience. And second, the speech transmission index. This is just a little presentation of what kind of model we took. So we took Vitruvius' proposal and brought in cornices. We reconstructed windows, doors, then the benches and the audience, and many more. And the covered ceiling, which is very interesting because there are many parts which are thinner than other parts and which absorbed many acoustic signals. So this is very interesting from my point of view. And this is a reconstruction of what we took. So this is about 230 senators. The problem is that theoretically there can be 600 senators because there are 600 senators, but they don't all fit into the room. It's really hard to get them all in. So we have the Curia, but it's a point of discussion how many members of the Senate could really attend such a Senate session. Maybe it is possible that you get more subsidia on this ground, on the ASIL. But this is point of discussion as many more points. But before you get worried, in the British House of Commons there are only 437 seats for 630 members. So it is still in our present time that not all who can attend a meeting really do. And it's planned that they don't attend a meeting. So, yeah. You vote them, I vote them. Yeah, think about it. And this is just some points we took. So we have different speaker points and we have different listener points. The cross, the P1, P2, and P3 here, these are speakers and the rest are listeners. And we can analyze when this speaker is speaking into this direction, what can this person hear? Or what can this person hear? And we can play with it. And this is a really funny part. So you can be thrilled what will be coming. Oh. And this is to what I'm currently saying. These are different kinds of sound sources and their loudness. So this go is about 100 decibel, and above 85 decibel you get serious damage if attending it very often. So yeah, and yeah, just some different kinds of loudness so you can compare what I'm saying after this. And this is the scale. It's not all about loudness. If you have attended a preacher in a church, there's sometimes this echo and this reverberation. So it is loud enough, but since you get the same acoustic signal over and over again, it's really, really hard to understand. Because there are other signals and it's mixing. And this is the STE scale, which tries to set at which mixture it is really hard to understand or really good to understand. But please, this is surely not exact because it's depending on everybody's hearing. So some may say the 0.3 is really good to hear. Some may say 0.6. No, I can't hear anything. But you get the chance to try it yourself. Next. Okay. Let me come to some results. We took, as I said, 3 different speaker points. This is the point, or this is the speaker, which we called emperor. He's placed at the podium, and we had different listeners, as I already said. And here are 3 different situations which we simulated. First, the actual state. This means the door is closed, and there are cornices, which we placed 1 meter in 1 meter depth. And the second situation is without cornices, to try, is Vitruvius right? Is there any change? And the third place is the door open, because in, as you already heard, in Republican times, it was very common that young attendants heard to what was said in Senate sessions. So we just wanted to get to know how good the people who were standing outside could get to hear anything. And this is the first position. So we began with 64 decibel, which is loud, but not as loud as it probably was. So this is very, very interesting, because we hold seminars with many students, and these students get in a soundproofed room and shall scream a text, just to get to know how loud you can speak. The task is to speak to a big audience as loud as they can, to get to know how loud can someone speak, and then to simulate these texts. And it's really, really interesting how difficult it is to speak loud for a long time. Not only students, but also professionals, because they are used to microphones. And we are currently not in the position to, or there are few occasions at which you have to speak very, very loud without a microphone. I'm having a microphone myself, although the room is not very big and the ceiling is not very high. The higher the ceiling, the more difficult it is to get the signal to the person. But this is really, really interesting. I will give you some examples, but we are currently trying, we found someone, an opera singer, because we thought, who is a person who has to speak very, very loud or sing very, very loud for a very long time? But I'm sorry to say that we couldn't take any tracks with him before Christmas Eve, because he had no time. So you have to be patient, but the project goes on, and I'm looking forward. We will make some tracks in the next weeks. Here you can see that the signal doesn't change very much, but it's always a little bit better with cornices. This is how clear it is to understand. Here you can see it's at this point, it's really interesting that it's hard to understand from the position M4, from this position, because it goes into the barrier of weak. Very interesting is this part, because it's different from 5%. And this is crucial. 5%, the acoustic who I'm working with, and this is a very nice cooperation, because these are the little barriers. I'm trying to tell him what I want from him, and he tries to tell me what he wants from him. And we are very proud if we come together and there comes some really big results. Under the Cornices, the result is really, really strong. So if you are direct under the Cornice, it's really good. But there's actually, you see the average. It's really interesting that the speaker who gets to hear the least in the average is the emperor. Just see the average. 0.46, 0.51, 0.50. So this is one of the very interesting results we got. These cases, we took these cases, these two positions of speakers, because we wanted to know how we got the situation Plinius speaks in front of the emperor in his Panegyricus. And we wanted to know whether it makes any difference if he stands right before the emperor or if he stands in the group of his colleagues. Because in Republican times, it's more probable that they didn't go to a specific place to speak. They just stood up and spoke. This is really crucial because you have always someone behind you. When you are thinking about Greek public speaking rooms, it's in most cases semicircular. So you can stand at one point and look at everyone. This is not the case in Roman public speaking rooms. If I'm speaking of the Curia Julia and the Athenaeum, it's the same. So you have two sides, and you can never stand the right way to look at everyone straight ahead. And this is acoustically really bad. But in this case, it's better for the audience, but very, very bad for the emperor. In this case, it's very good for the emperor, but not so good for the rest of the listeners. So it's more probable that he got closer to the emperor. It would be a mess if he spoke to the emperor and the emperor couldn't listen to him. But now to some acoustic signals, to some acoustic simulations, and I'm very sorry. This was this was the fun of my colleague to put Centurio in the middle of it, and not a senator. But yeah, this is our humor. You have to get used to this. So yeah, in real life, this would be senator, and the room is filled. So besides the fact that here in the reconstruction the room is empty, in our acoustic simulation the room is filled. Every place is filled. And now to the acoustic.
Atque ud inde oratio mer proficiscatur, und hec omnia causa ducitur, bellum grave et periculosum vestri.
This is the case of a free field room. So this is soundproof, no disturbances, nothing at all. The speaker is right in front of the emperor, and we are now getting the perspective of the emperor.
Atque ut inde oratio mer proficiscatur, und hec omnia causa ducitur, bellum grave et periculosum vestris vectigaribus sociis.
Was it good to hear? Okay. And now?
O Zeiten, o Sitten! Der Senat weiß es, der Konsul sieht es, und doch lebt dieser Mensch noch. Er lebt? Ja, erscheint sogar
This
im
is one of
Senat.
our students, which I'm not allowed to name, so we call him Student S. So, just for the comparison now.
O Zeiten, o Sitten, der Senat weiß es, der Konsul sieht es und doch lebt dieser Mensch noch. Er lebt? Ja, er erscheint sogar im Senat. Er nimmt teil an der öffentlichen Beratung. Er bestimmt...
Was this good to hear? Better or worse? Better? In most cases, the audience says it's better to hear due to the fact that you know the language. So this is a simple this is the simple reason why you get to hear it better. And it is really interesting if you get to hear it here at the beginning and then again at the end. The beginning, is it good to hear? Do you understand what is? And now? And now it's really bad to hear. Why is it? Because at the beginning he speaks very slow. O Zeiten, o Sitten. And then he gets to use what we normally talk like, how I am talking like, very, very fast. So, la 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 la. And then you don't get to hear anything because of the reverberation. The sound coming from the sides comes over the sound which currently comes from the speaker. So what I'm currently speaking about is less good to hear due to the fact that other sounds disturb it. If you make breaks, if you speak slower, more slowly, this is better to hear than if you speak very, very fast. And this is one of the very interesting parts here, because from this perspective, it's on the edge between not very good to hear and good to hear. And but the failure here is that from my perspective, this is one thing we are researching about. It's mainly due to the fact that this STI does mainly look at the fluent speech. So if you speak very, very fast, if it's good to hear or not. It does not take into account that you make breaks, that you let every word has its own impact. So if you speak more slowly, it has a great impact. It's dignity. Every word has some sound behind it. Just think about you have something really important to say, and after every word you say, you get this vroom, vroom. So this is might, this is dignity, this is everything. And what we are currently thinking about is whether it should not be differentiated, this STI, to we are not speaking, the ancient people were not speaking so fast as we are, or couldn't speak so fast because these high rooms didn't allow to speak very, very fast and fluent. So debates couldn't be posed that everyone speaks against the other or disturb the other or something like that, but it is more slowly and it takes time. This is perhaps one explanation why Plinius said that it took 3 evenings to lecture his Panegyricus, because it's very slow. Because you need to take time. Because it's good to take time. And this is something we are not aware of, that time is a luxury, or I think we are aware of, but we don't take it. A luxury of the wealthy is that they had the time to speak slow, to listen at every word, and the rhetorical means, alliteration and other forms, get better to hear. You get better to hear them if they come slow and not rhetorical mean after a rhetorical mean, alliteration, and rhetorical question and every other form comes after another, but you can take every rhetorical mean by itself because you speak slowly. And this is one of the very interesting results we are currently thinking about, especially since Lukian says that Lukian is praising a room, and he's looking at all the pictures at the ceiling and is telling what is depicted on every picture. And at the beginning of this encomium, he says, "What nice echo I have." And I think this might be reasonable to say we shouldn't try to simulate ancient rhetorical speeches with our speed and with our measure. We don't have a time. We are currently looking at what is inside the speech and are not so much looking at what the style of the speech is, or how the speaker reacts to it with gestures, with his word, and something like that. This is very important to assess the ancient speaker in the right way. You have to think about that Cicero took all his childhood to become a great rhetor. And this is not only that he learned all the rhetorical means, but also that he had to get the loudness to be heard by everyone, to get the right gestures at the right time. This all was a kind of art. And to see this, to measure this, I think we have to take much more time during, or we have to think that these speeches took much more time than we reconstruct them. It's not that we read them, and when the reader is finished, this is the time it took to speak the work, to get the speaking time. These speeches were held a whole day. You had to sit the whole day, and some of you are tired already in 40 minutes. So you have to think about this was the speed. These speeches were held all day, and you have to be concentrated all day. And I think it's very important that you reconstruct these with acoustic signals. Oh. So what we are currently doing is thinking about things, and we always have enough students to try them. So they always get different tasks, and we try to reconstruct the speech, the loudness, the speed, and some rhetorical means and their impact. And we are speaking with other scientific researchers like Winfried Stroh, I think you know him, about our results. A short summary. Altogether, new thrilling questions could be generated thanks to the acoustic simulation. For instance, new conclusions about the vocal requirements of a speaker in the Senate. How loud he had to speak. It's very interesting if you try it with different loudness, different kinds of loudness. Moreover, the rapidity of speeches can now be discussed. So how fast? This allows a new point of view to the reception of rhetorical means, which could have gone unnoticed in fast debates. Moreover, it is a matter of debate now if a reverberation or echo are the herewith closely connected slowness of the speech shouldn't be seen as something very positive in the ancient world. It was good to have an echo. Thank you very much for your attention. And I always quit the same way, with asterisks. I don't know if it's okay to the video, so I say it's from Asterix and the Belgians, and it's about colored farmers in Pisa. So, Kohlbauern, it's in German. So it's a debate about colored farmers. Very interesting is that in every reconstruction in Asterix, as in the most cases in pictures, you always see this semicircular form. Never this straight form, the Curia Julia. And I think it has reasons in the acoustics. So thank you very much.